Okay, we're going to talk about a real incident that happened where a guy defended himself with a revolver and lost. Now, the thing I've always told people is let's not blame the gun. Let's not blame the capacity until we find out what happens in these incidences, okay? Because a lot of times it has to do with the person behind the gun, their training, their tactics, their situational awareness, and the decisions that they make during a defense situation. So somebody to say, well, it's because he didn't have enough capacity and that kind of stuff. Often their logic is misplaced and they don't look at the situation enough to find out that it wasn't about capacity. A lot of times defense situations aren't about capacity, but more about decisions that you make with your firearm, whether you live or you die, and your incident. So, 5-shot revolver. I think he had a 6-shot revolver, so I'm going to put these down for now. This is a 17-round magazine. This is going to be something I'm going to talk about a little later here. So this guy is coming out of a business, and he's got his left hand has got a bag in it, okay? So right away he's got something in his hand. These 3 guys step out of the vehicle with guns. Now when he's going to his car, he notices that out of these 3 guys, he notices one guy with a gun. But what he does is he doesn't drop what's in his left hand. He only pulls out his revolver with his right hand, but he won't drop what's in his left hand. Mistake number 1. So he and him are shooting it out with each other. He sees these 3 guys. Okay, he knows that they're all there. This guy tries to come up behind him here, but he stays right here. He's not willing to go around the corner. Okay? This guy here who he's shooting it out with is running like that. And as he's running, what he decides to do is he decides to chase him. Okay, mistake number 2. Because this guy here, even though he was praying and spraying, he kind of held the gun sideways like this. And when he fired, he hit this guy. And that's what killed him, okay? So it wasn't the revolver that killed him. It was the mistakes that he made. So let's say that this guy ran away, and let's say that this guy ran away, and he was staying behind cover after that first encounter with him. So let's say if this guy came around the corner, well, he would still be able to take this guy out when he comes around the corner because he's maintaining his cover. So what we have to understand here, folks, is even though you got 3 opponents with guns and you only have a 6-shot revolver, a lot of times these defense situations, it's the decision that you make that makes or breaks whether you lose that defense situation. And the poor decisions that he made, he actually lost his defense situation. Now, the thing he should have done is when he came out of that store and the 3 guys got out of the car with guns, the first thing you do is you drop that object or that bag in your left hand, okay? So now you got 2 hands free for the gunfight, okay? The next thing is when you notice that all these 3, that this one engages you, okay, and you shoot back at him, he runs off, and then this guy runs off right here. Well, you can just stay with your cover. You don't have to go chase these guys. You stay with your cover. And this guy here, if he would have came around the corner now, he knows that you're here. He would have probably ran too. And if he didn't run, then he would shoot it out with him. You're always better if you let the enemy come to you, not you go to them. You're always better doing it that way. Because defense shooting is just the opposite of competition shooting. Competition shooting would be something like this. You come around the corner, slicing the pie immediately, very, very quickly. Boom, 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 boom. But the problem with that is you're out in the open here. You fired 2 shots at each person. Okay? What if this guy is not incapacitated? What if this guy is not incapacitated? And you're trying to shoot at this guy. Well, these 2 guys can return fire back to you. So that makes no sense. So this whole rushing out of cover and stuff, shooting quickly, targets, paper and steel targets, that's not real life. If you got guys with guns, you know what they should do with competition shooting is put real guys or robots behind cover with real guns and then see how he's going to come out of cover. He's not going to come out like they do in competition really fast and go boom, 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 boom. He's going to be very careful slicing the pie one after the other, okay? But not only that, he's going to make sure that this guy's incapacitated fully before he exposes himself to target number 2. Incapacitate fully before exposing himself to target number 3. You see what I'm saying, folks? So this whole idea about racing against a stopwatch, it's good to put yourself under pressure. It's good for speed and stuff. I understand that aspect, but the problem is that sometimes people worship these timers to the point where they're so amped up that in the real world situation, they're going to come out like this and they're going to get shot, okay? You don't have to come out of your cover quickly. Cover is your safe place. Let them come to you. So it's competition shooting in reverse. Why should you have to go to them? Why not let them come to you? If you're not a police officer, you don't have to chase them. You can just stay here and shoot back and defend yourself. Why should you have to go out and chase these guys? After firing a shot at this guy, he runs away and you decide to stay out in the middle and shoot it out with these 2 guys rather than staying with your cover. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And the reason, I know it's funny I'm using these little army guys, but these little army guys come in handy for illustrations. I was doing this back in 1995. I was developing situations and scenarios and stuff like that. I do know that Claude Werner, a defense researcher that was doing defense research like I was, he was also using these little army men and stuff on his channel, I think, for illustrating gunfights and stuff like that. But the thing we have to ask here, folks, is this. Was it because he only had a 5-shot revolver or 6-shot revolver? And how do we know? Maybe he even had a reload. What he might even though this one's not loaded, he might have had a reload on him. So he probably had, 10 shots or 6 and 6 is 12. You know what I mean? And here's the other thing to consider. What if he had a 17-round magazine? Because everybody's saying, oh, high capacity. And I'm not against high capacity. Having plenty of ammo is a good thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'll do better just because you have more ammo. So let's put him in a situation where he's got a 17-shot magazine doing the same thing. It won't matter that he has 17 rounds. Why? Because he did something stupid. He had something in his left hand. This guy was shooting at him, okay, and he shot back, and then he decided to chase him while this other guy came and shot him. How much of this magazine would you use before you're dead? Probably only a couple rounds. Probably right about there, maybe 3 or 4 rounds at most. So you wasted all this ammunition, okay? It didn't do you any good. Why? Because you didn't have good shot placement. And you didn't have good tactics, okay? And you didn't have good situational awareness. What's the situational awareness? When you're coming out, your situational awareness tells you what? To make sure that you drop what's ever in your hands and get ready for the gunfight. You don't want to be carrying around a bag in your hand and just using one hand, okay? The other part of the situational awareness is when he came out here, he noticed that this guy took off. What he should have done is he should have just stayed with his cover and let these guys come to him, because he's not a police officer. He has no duty to go chase these guys. That's up to law enforcement to do that. As a matter of fact, in some states, duty to retreat. You can't just go chase suspects. You could get in trouble for that. Okay? There might be a rare thing that happens, like you're playing the part of a sheepdog, where you're protecting citizens or your kids are being taken away by these guys or something. I understand that. There's rare situations like that, but that's a black swan. That's extremely rare compared to tens of thousands of reports of private citizens being in defense situations. So the other thing we have to understand is, let's say that he only had a 5-shot revolver, 357 like mine, and a 5-shot reload, okay? Now, let's say he got in a gunfight and he decided to pray and spray. That's where you just keep pulling the trigger, okay? Well, that would have been stupid too, because when you pray and spray and keep pulling the trigger like this, you run out of ammunition quicker. And the same thing with the 17 round magazine. You know, we got gangs in Minneapolis, and the gangs in Minneapolis, they have 30 round magazines, and they still all get killed. They still get killed, and they get found with full capacity magazines, even the first one that was in the gun, laying at the crime scene. Why is this? Poor shot placement, okay? Poor shot placement, and they're out in the middle shooting. They have no tactics, okay? So high capacity is nice, but this does not mean safety. This does not mean that you're going to win the gunfight. There's so many other variables to winning a gunfight than just having a 17 round magazine. What if you have a malfunction? You know, what if you have a malfunction with your semi-auto, and here you are in the middle of the gunfight. You got to try to switch this magazine out, put a new one in, no cover, okay? Whereas a revolver, yes, it's only 5 shots, but what if them 5 shots do it for you and you have absolutely no jams or malfunctions? Okay, fine, that will work. Now, am I saying a semi-auto is worse than a revolver? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am doing is I'm defending the position that a revolver today is an excellent self-defense weapon if you know how to use it, okay? If you know your tactics, if you know your situational awareness, if you're the type of person, like I said, that is going to cover and trying to get out of the situation, not going into the situation. This guy fires a shot at you, you fire a shot at him, you're at cover, you're staying there, okay? You're staying there because you're wise, you're using tactics and stealth. So these guys here, they want to challenge you, they're going to have to come to you. And a lot of times they don't want to be ambushed because you're going to ambush them. So it's just the opposite of competition shooting, where you come out like this and do this thing. Boom, 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 boom. It doesn't always work just because it's on paper steel, people. Even if you did get good shot placements, like 2 in the heart or whatever on paper, this does not mean that he's going to fall over dead. You might have to stay there and wait for that guy to be incapacitated. If he's not incapacitated, you can't come out and engage this guy with 2 shots and then this guy with 2 shots. Because if 3 of them got guns, 1 of them can shoot back at you. So why are you, like a competition shooter, out in the middle like this, risking your life? And granted, you are fast. Yeah, you're a fast runner, okay? You can run a 100-yard dash, whoop-de-doo, okay? But the thing is that you want to stay safe. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to run a 100-yard dash faster than anybody. You can still move quickly and not have to run, all right? Most defense situations and with private citizens, I'm not talking about law enforcement or military or anything like that. Most private defense situations with citizens that have revolvers, usually there's 1 piece of cover, okay, in the area that you can get to. The other thing is usually you run out of time before you run out of ammo because everybody scatters. Usually it's within 7 yards or under. Okay, we know that just by the facts about studying private defense situations. And the time is so quick. Here's the thing to consider too, folks. The time is so fast in the gunfight, it only lasts a couple seconds, to the point where he might even not know that you only have a 5-shot revolver. He might not even know how many shots you fired. Why? Because he ain't counting shots. Why would he count shots when his life is in danger and he's got to get the hell out of there, all right? These 3 guys don't even know you have a revolver. All they know is they're being shot at because they're trying to attack this guy. They can't see the weapon from that distance. They don't know if it's a revolver or what it is. They're not counting shots. I don't know of anybody that's counting shots, as far as a gunfight. You're not interested in a gun review at that moment when your life is in danger, about looking and, oh, let me see what kind of gun you got. Oh, you got a revolver. Okay. You're not interested in a math lesson or doing math in a time when your life is in danger and you're running. And these perps, they deserve to have their lives in danger because they're putting his life in danger, and they ended up killing him. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Don't blame the gun, okay? Everybody keeps blaming the gun all the time. What about the person behind the gun? Okay, let's think about this. What about the person in the defense situation? What were their tactics? How did they use the gun? What was their training? Did they pray and spray? You have to ask all these questions on these incidences. You can't just compile a bunch of incidences where somebody loses their life with a revolver without looking at things like these. Because what usually happens is they build a straw dummy by using incidences like this to prove to you that a revolver is not a good weapon for self-defense. But at the same time, they won't build a straw dummy argument against semi-autos either, about jams, about other problems that you could have with your semi-auto. So it's not fair for somebody to attack revolver guys with a straw dummy argument based off an incident like this when the problem wasn't the gun or the capacity. The problem was him. He was doing the wrong thing with the revolver. He was doing such the wrong thing with the revolver at that time that even if he did have a 17-round magazine, if he fired a couple shots at this guy and he's chasing him, all right, you got 2 rounds out of that already. This guy here, because he's out of cover, shoots back at him, and that guy could have shot back at him too. But if that guy shot at him, okay, now you got what, 3-4 rounds out of this? Look at that. You got all this capacity and you couldn't defend yourself? What's going on? It's not this. It's the person, okay? It's the person and how they use the ammunition. It's how you use the ammunition. It's not how much you have. Now, a lot of people think us revolver guys, oh yeah, you just got a 5-shot revolver. No. A lot of times we'll have speed loaders like these, okay? Does it take time to reload? Yes. Does it take longer than a semi-auto? Yes. But at the same time, a semi-auto can have a jam, or you could have a problem with the magazine, okay? Doesn't that take time to remedy that situation? Doesn't a stovepipe or a double feed, which has happened to police officers hundreds of times out on duty, okay? Right on video. Doesn't that take time to clear that kind of malfunction? But you lived. Why did you live? Because you had a bulletproof vest on and you had your buddies there with you to shoot it out with the guy. If you didn't have the bulletproof vest and the other buddies to help you shoot it out with that guy, and you were a law enforcement officer and you got a double feed and you're out in the middle here, you would have been killed. But thankfully you have that vest. And that's one of the reasons why having your vest is good, because it saves your life. It saves thousands of officers every year, that vest, okay? So we have to understand something here. When people make revolvers look bad, they're not considering the things about revolvers and semi-autos equally. What they're doing is they're building a straw dummy against a revolver, but they're not building a straw dummy argument against the semi-auto. Both have advantages and disadvantages. Both require you, the person, to know what you're doing and to have the training to know how to use them wisely. So that's the thing we have to understand here. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. I'm afraid I might chase another rabbit. You know what that means, off to another topic if I'm not careful. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, you guys.